We're going to call the meeting to order at 7:04 PM. Roll call, please.
Yep, I have committee or PZC members, Jennifer Maas.
Here.
David May.
Here.
Jared Doan.
Here.
Brett Fergie.
Here.
Nancy Carr is absent. Mark Dipner.
Here.
And Chairperson Glenda Bloomingdale.
Here. Looking for a motion to approve the minutes from August 3rd.
I so move.
Second,
Second. A second.
all those in favor? Oh, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're not required for a roll call vote, are we?
Nope,
We're
but you should
past
ask.
those.
You should ask for opposed just in case somebody didn't say aye.
Roll call.
You want to do a roll call?
Yeah, do
All
roll
right.
call. Just be easier.
Jen,
Approved.
David,
Aye.
Jared,
Yes.
Fergie, or Brett. Nancy Carr is absent. Mark.
Yes.
All right.
The purpose of tonight's meeting is for a public hearing for Mr. Hayden's proposal for his lots on Route 72. Mark, if you would like to give a synopsis to the board members that may not be as familiar with the project as some of us old timers.
Sure, I'd be happy to. This application is technically by two companies jointly applying. Haywell LLC DJ Storage owns the entire property that we're talking about today. Post split, they plan to sell the northern or gas station property to HP DJ Real Estate LLC, which I think is substantially similar and it's just a different corporate affiliate, but there's technically a contract purchaser of the gas station lot. And so what they are proposing tonight in general terms, and they'll tell you about it in more detail, is they own approximately 7-acre parcel of property on the south side of Route 72, southwest of Junction Way. It's currently an unimproved lot. And what they want to do is a couple of things. They want to split the lot into two parcels. An east-west division that would leave them with a 3-acre northern parcel that's adjacent to and accessed from Route 72. And what they propose for that site is the development of a gas station and a convenience store, both of which are permitted as of right in the property's host C3 zoning district. So I'll tell you why they're here in a moment and asking you something. The southern lot, which would be a little bit larger, about 4 acres, they propose to develop with a self-storage facility, and there'd be some detention pond as well servicing the properties. But for our purposes, the main focus will be the self-storage facility. I believe they propose 5 sort of long and relatively narrow structures parallel to each other on that site. That site doesn't have direct access to Route 72. It's situated between the proposed gas station and the railroad tracks, and they would record an easement, an access easement across the northern parcel so that cars could turn off of 72 and get down to the storage facility. So the reason they're here, so that's what they plan on doing in general terms. But the reason they're here is because you guys are the pit stop for a couple of items of relief that they need, or you're at least the recommending body to the village board, which will ultimately make the determination. First of all, they, as I indicated, are proposing to subdivide that property. And under your village code, there's a few steps associated with that. But the first one is a tentative plat approval. This doesn't have the full-blown engineering associated with it, or doesn't necessarily have all of that attached, but it's a first stop. You guys are charged with reviewing it. And if you recommend approval, the village board has the ultimate final say, yay or nay. If that is approved, then it advances to the next stage where they start spending their money on the final engineering and ultimately a final plat of subdivision, which is then recorded. It's the same process that's followed in the village if it was a giant residential subdivision. It just so happens in this case, it's a relatively simple 2-lot subdivision. In terms of their proposed uses, as I indicated on the northern lot, the gas station and convenience store they want to develop is just, it's permissible in the C3 district. If that was all they were doing, they wouldn't need to ask you anything associated with that. But they also propose having a video gaming component. Video gaming is allowed for a truck stop in the under state law. Under your zoning code, gambling is a special use in this district. And even though it's not the main use of the property, it's what we call an accessory use, or sort of a minor side use. It's something that comes to you for special permit approval. As to the southern lot, the self-storage facility, self-storage is not called out explicitly by name in your zoning code at all, but it falls under the umbrella of, I don't have it in front of me at the moment, it's called like leasors of warehouse and mini warehouse space or something of that nature. That's what this is. And so they are asking for special use permit approval of that as well. So ultimately, I have prepared for your review and discussion and approval, and it can be redrafted depending on how this goes. No one's bound to it, but I prepared a resolution for you. The resolution addresses all 3 of those forms of relief in one fell swoop. It has separate findings for each, but ultimately a single voting action. Whatever you guys are most comfortable with, when it comes down to a vote at the end, you can do a single vote on the entirety of the package. If it seems like you have, as a body, based on the discussion, seems like you're going to go different ways on different elements of the relief, you can do separate motions, whatever is the handiest, and I'll hold your hands through that process when we get there. But that is a basic overview of where we're going. And maybe we'll be able to get there quickly because it doesn't appear like any members of the public that are going to be testifying tonight or cross-examining. So it's just you guys and the applicants. So I'll stop talking so that you can swear them in. If you need help with that, let me know. But otherwise, we'll swear them in and they'll make a presentation and then you guys can ask questions and whatever you need to do.
Okay, we'll need to swear you guys in. So raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Very good. Tim, you can go ahead and start.
Just like before I ask you, use the microphone. Try me one more time. Yeah, it's just really low.
You can adjust. No, it doesn't go up any higher, does it?
Oh, that's not my end. Never mind. Go.
That's good.
It is on my end. You can't hear, but it is.
Okay, my name is Tim Heaton, and I own the property to that was described. When we first started this, we were looking at the self-storage component, and we thought we would sell the front part. And it's a lot different. Okay, so I own the property, 7 acres. We came up with a design for the storage. There's like a formula and basically the village of Davis Junction and surrounding areas underserved for self-storage. We own other facilities. And initially we thought we would sell the frontage. Feedback was they would like to see that develop first. Through a course of events, we have actually developed a same building and facility business at Rochelle. So now we present it as we're going to do the whole thing. And the business on the frontage is called Benny's Corner Market. It is at the northeast corner of Flag and 251 in Rochelle. And it is a gas station, a mobile gas station, but it is bigger than most gas stations. We try and be convenience for lots of items. It's kind of like, I think of it as an old fashioned neighborhood store for the stuff you go get. Maybe in Rochelle, it saves you a trip to Walmart and, for whatever your wife's cooking that day and you need to go get those kind of things. As part of that also, there's a seating area that's kind of shared, whether it's coffees and morning type stuff. And there's a leased restaurant space in it. We have hot food, we have ice cream. So it's really trying to put as many things under one roof that you to serve the community that is here. Some of that is also just some grab and go type lunch stuff. And, it's kind of place that you might end up at the same place multiple times in the day. So the goal is to do both those things. As we sit here in July, we would like to start that this fall. It's about a 6-month process to build the gas station convenience store, which puts you into early May, the travel season, well, the right time of year to be doing that kind of, doing the busy season of that anyways. The storage is a unmanned facility, even pre-COVID, but now especially it's an over the phone, online registration, all those kind of things that with security cameras. And over time, we've been doing that for about 8 years now. We started our first facility, didn't even have electric service. And now they have gates and cameras and it's a very safe place. We set it up so the buildings are a long ways this way. So there's very few blind spots. We have next to no problems. So we just think both of those two things there's a need for them here and that we can meet that need. And, we especially like that they're east of the population base where a lot of people probably generally go on their traffic patterns anyways. So that's my overview. I'd be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Do we just jump in or do I need to?
Go ahead.
All right. So with the storage facilities unmanned, that's not going to create any jobs, correct? For Davis Junction?
Correct.
Jen, can I get you to speak up your microphone? Sorry.
I guess I do need to move this over there. Okay. And then how many, oh, that was me. How many jobs are you looking at the gas station to create?
Then the gas station is probably plus or minus 10, depending on time of year. And then there's additional jobs in the leased restaurant space.
Okay. With the gaming, do you plan on selling open container alcohol?
No.
Okay.
The gaming is a separate room. There's walls. There's a door that's screened. It is in the front portion of the with eyesight to our cash registers. But if you weren't looking for it, you wouldn't know it was there.
And there's no open container alcohol sales? This isn't a bar dressed as a gas station?
No. It's a very clean environment. It will not feel like a bar in any way.
Do you have gaming in Rochelle?
We do. But we have gaming under the designation of a truck stop. So unlike bars or, whatever you want to call the parlors that have a folding table and small quantities of individual servings, there's two designations. One, you have to have a pouring license, generally called a pouring license. And then there's also gas or small scale truck stop. So you have to meet a designated number of truck parking spaces. You have to sell a certain amount of diesel fuel, but you don't have to, and have 3 acres, but you don't have to serve alcohol.
And with the construction on 251 next year and the bridge being out, so we're going to have traffic almost routed away. Do we see that impacting the opening or?
No, I don't. I will be honest, I don't know the most about that.
Okay, because the bridge is going out over 251 over the tracks.
And yeah, know, I don't see that as impacting our opening. We've been through the IDOT process. We have an agreement of what the road improvements have to be. And, but they haven't mentioned that to us or any conditions of that because of that.
And then when I was reading some of the original, I don't know, recommendation or plan information, it said that this is helping with our concern of a lack of diversity, but we have gaming and gas stations and restaurants. So how does this bring diversity to Davis Junction?
Sales tax diversity, right?
I just saw the word diversity and thought,
I wrote it. It's a reference to sales tax
Okay.
diversity, revenue diversity.
I would also say that it might bring price competition for some of those things, specifically gas stations. Typically, places without multiple gas stations have less price competition. You know, for example, if you the price of gas in Rochelle today is $3.19. The price where there's a Murphy's and a good supply of gas stations. As you go east to DeKalb, about every 5 miles it goes up 10 cents. So I can't speak for that. You know, I think when I was here today, it was $3.29 at the corner. So, and I also would just say, as you have, you know, more businesses, it causes everybody to up their game a little more, whether that's cleaning your bathrooms more often or planting more flowers in front of your parking lot. You know, one thing I didn't say initially was we have multiple outdoor seating opportunities in our footprint in the northeast side of this, which is there's the indoor seating, but then there's also the outdoor seating. So, I mean, there's picnic tables on the other side of it. We have have rocking chairs underneath the initial openings. So, you know, whether that's mother and daughter meeting for somewhere for a cup of coffee or those kind of things, like, I just think that competition is good for the consumer.
and when you said you've had next to no problems at the storage units, what problems have you had?
Well, we have a storage facility that's about a half mile south of my house. Have had it for 6 years, and I would say on 2 occasions in 6 years we've had a lock broken into. One of those times, though, they broke into the third lock north of the corner, and then also just so happened to do. I mean, so some of those things are inside, maybe a husband and wife, maybe a 2 business partner kind of things. I'm just saying it's not any kind of a place that they'll be loaded in. There's properly lit, properly cameraed, all that kind of stuff. And we have owned a facility in Sycamore for 3 years now that will be identical to this in terms of gated and limited access. Everything flows back to the entrance, and we have had 0 incidents. So that would be a better.
Do any of those have a truck stop in front of them?
No, that one doesn't. That one's actually just in kind of a business park.
Okay.
But one thing we have heard from a few clients is that, for example, a farmer said, I'll look forward to that. I can actually pull off and get some lunch. Yeah, there's a Subway in Davis Junction, but there's no truck access to it. We get a fair amount in Rochelle. We get a good amount of, maybe it's a Rockford business that isn't going to buy gas from us, but they're coming in a truck and trailer, and we have nice turning radiuses and stuff like that. So even just to stop in and grab stuff. So, you know, like all things of the progression over time, gas stations get a bigger and bigger footprint, turning radiuses come into play, and lots of different things like that.
All right, I think those were all mine.
I just have one question. Hours of operation, is this going to be a 20?
No.
Okay.
No, it's not. It's got a little variance week to weekend, but 5 a.m. to 11 is pretty good.
Work at 3, I have to go somewhere else.
Well,
Well, even now, the local one doesn't open till like 6.
we have, we open at 4. Our first manager was on the south side of Rochelle where there's a lot more of that early morning traffic and stuff. So that's kind of where that came from. I've debated some of that. I mean, we don't have any problem with staffing, but it's easier to find somebody who wants to set an alarm for 4:30 than 3:30, so.
One other question, all the paperwork they gave us. So the storage facilities behind the gas station. And I see the width of it. Is the height of the storage facility going to be below the truck stop?
I would almost by half. Where the truck stop has
Truck stop will be blocking the view from basically. From
you'll have to, from a visibility standpoint, you'll have to, you almost have to be looking for the gas station. I'm sorry, you'll almost have to be looking for the storage facility. I think our buildings, the storage buildings are about 8'6" with a low pitch. And by the time you get done with the facade and stuff, our gas station's almost 18 feet tall. And it's also, it's a square box, but it's not a square box in that it's got 3 different front elevations. It's got a gable in the front. So it's a very,
yeah, I've seen that. I was just concerned about it. And then when this came through the first time last year, was it? I don't remember.
This is the 4th time.
Okay, well, I was on the board. So, and there was a question about, and I think I saw it in here, the building of the storage facility and the truck stop are be going at the same time then?
be going at the same time, but the storage shows 5 buildings. They will not be built all at one time. There will be 2 buildings built in the very middle, and then there will be, so that's like,
That was our concern at the beginning, is that the
I-
gas station, truck stop,
yeah, I said at the plant, or would it be a village boardman last time?
Mhm.
That they will be simultaneous, meaning both be built this fall, but now there's no head fake. They're both, the front's gonna happen.
The board has given us some direction, stating that they want, the front lot has to open at the same time as the
Okay, it's good to see that.
storage facilities do, or it has to open by itself first.
So in terms of the flow of construction, we put the gas station foundation in first, then that building can go. Gas tanks are one of these items with a long lead time right now. So we will do everything, maybe even get a binder of asphalt down, and then the tanks will be the last thing to go in. And because of the time of year, that will almost definitely be a spring thing.
That's all I have.
Will pumps be 24/7 or just when your store's operating?
State of Illinois has quite a few regulations for 24/7 pumps. We investigated that, but the precautions required outweigh the benefit that we think of selling that gas in those last 6 hours or so. But we do have, I think it's nice. We didn't intend to do this right away, but we do have some like corporate cards programs for smaller businesses. There's things like ComData and stuff, but they're really more geared to like FedEx or national things. But mobile does have some programs for like small businesses. So we have probably between 5 and 10 businesses that have card programs and some stuff like that, so that they have very good reporting, your number 101, your number 104, and all those kind of things. So we've been happy. We have been happy with the brand that we chose, and the public has expressed their happiness with the brand too. So.
Any other questions or comments?
There was a lot of work done on here. I thought I saw a mention of a turn lane going in, possibly.
There will not be a turn lane initially. There will be a new shoulder, but basically IDOT agreed to a 5-year look back. So the traffic is kind of, it's within a gray area of whether or not there's turn lane improvements needed. So basically they've said at a 5-year out point, the traffic will be studied again. If this has increased traffic to that next level, we would be on the hook for some improvements. I guess the way we've rationalized that is hopefully that means the business is successful. But what our argument was, we find this to be, this doesn't really change traffic. It takes the cars that are on this route and gives them a place to stop. So.
Any other questions?
Do you have any projected revenues? Like year 1, 5, 10, anything like that?
For the gas station?
Yeah.
Revenue is a little bit of a tricky topic when it comes to gas station because it's gallons on the one side and then it's in-store on the other side. The goal, I would say, in year 3 is $100,000 a month of in-store sales and 100,000 gallons of non-diesel fuel a month. So painting a broad brush, a lot of people say $1 million in store to $1 million and 1 million gallons. So we have revenue projections that we had a market study, and then Mobile does their own. Now we have actual. We took the projections you get and just take 25% off of them, because if they're 25% better, that's great. But if you rely on the 25, so that's kind of our stabilized number. Now we've been in the gas station for 18 months, and COVID was right smack dab in the middle of them. So a lot of that stuff is a glorified coaster. So, but I will say, in the last couple of months, we've really started to rebound, and we're almost there already after only 18 months.
How much overnight parking do you get in Rochelle?
Next to zero. But the nice thing about the truck parking stalls, they're really, like I said, sometimes they're 15 minutes, 1 hour. We get a lot more of those short-term stays. We will have 6 stalls. Part of our thought is what we're wanting to try and do is have that excess space as a place where you could have some, like those pop-up, I won't say farmers market, but more, I don't know if you're familiar. In Byron, they have Blue Freedom Farms, I think it's called, has that hanging basket and that kind of stuff. Our goal with a lot of those kind of things that we've already started to do is to bring people there more often and bring people there for a different, I don't know if to say purpose or different products. So, and because of the size of Davis Junction, we think there's a little more of an opportunity for some of that, like in between your grocery, your big grocery trip type stuff. So we also have some sections that are, like we got a 4-foot section of an Amish company from the DeKalb area that's got, better salsas. There's a business in Dixon we get deliveries from. It's called Olive and Nut. It's actually called Health Food. So try and have something for everybody.
Rochelle also has that great big truck stop.
Yeah, the petrol.
And Walmart.
Mhm.
The truckers park in Walmart overnight too, and then out at the big trucks.
Yeah, we don't, the word truck stop might lead you to believe something that's going to be different than here. This is really more about those
Short trip.
short trips or even daily trips, your farmer that's driving, those kind of things, construction, the stuff that's already here, it just needs to be served. So Same, you know, and also in that is, it's not even trucks, but like ABC Supply, True Green, those kind of small, you know, they're not small businesses, but they're more small scale than 18 wheelers, you know, because we're kind, you know, for example, we had a chance to sell, increase our diesel margin by 50%, but it was a ready mix hauler. And we just couldn't get on board with, like, now all of a sudden we're mixing your, for lack of a better term, soccer mom and a ready mix truck. It's like, you know, sounds good, but that's not what we're looking for. But at the same time, the turning radiuses and those kind of things will be wide enough so that they interact as little as possible. So for example, if one of those vehicles comes in, it will actually take a big loop around the diesel. If you're looking at it, here's the building, the diesel islands are here. So I come in, I make a big loop to get diesel, and then I go like this, and I back up if I want to go inside. So, you know, whether it's, for example, in Rochelle, they were building rec center. We had a lot of Rockford contractors, those truck and trailers, they come down, they make that same loop. They don't buy gas, unfortunately, but they come inside, but they're parked out in that perimeter kind of space that allows for, and then the restaurant is set up to have a drive-through lane, and that drive-through kind of makes that same circle. But if you want the trucks in lane 8 of the track, the drive-throughs in lane 1 of it, so they hug the building, go around. There's some stacking behind the building. It's 100 feet east to west, so you could have 10 cars there, and then there. So it's kind of an interior circle, and then that bigger loop for the exterior.
So will the restaurant open with the drive-through?
That's the goal.
Okay.
We know what food is here already. We know what the guy that's in Rochelle does. We like that he does ice cream, but we want him to gear a little more on the sandwiches side. You know, we're not trying to be, in Rochelle, he started with pizza in like a big open, you know, I think wood fire kind of thing.
We'll
But-
give you a clue. There's a whole bunch of people that want a donut shop.
Yeah, yeah.
That's true.
Huge.
On the list.
Yeah.
But I would also tell you, as part of that, we, in kind of that whole, you know, our goal is, both of these things are not our primary business. We have a real estate brokerage, that's our primary business with some development. These have come off of it. But we don't want to be making donuts. We don't want to be making pizzas. We don't want to be doing those things. We try to work with people that already do those things well, than reinventing the wheel and not doing them very well. So for example, we work with a bakery out of Dixon that brings products. So some of that comes into the logistics of this spot versus that spot, you know, but he delivers to father and son, I know, so he hasn't been opposed to coming here either.
Any other questions? Comment?
If you don't mind, I'm just gonna touch on a few things that are related to the findings of fact that I think that your village attorney spoke to. And I just wanted to address some of your questions and concerns, because obviously you came from a baseball game. I'm a baseball mom. So I just want to let you know that the feel for this particular place, I bring my kids to Benny's. I sit down at their little, tables. It is family friendly. I don't even notice the fact that there is gaming in the corner. You can't even tell. I don't even think that my kids know that you have gaming at Benny's. And they've been there a lot because we go there a lot with baseball, and they always want ice cream. Great ice cream. My mom loves their Dole Whip. Really great. But then you can get Heddon's beef sticks, and you can get Olive Net because I want some nice salsa, and you can get a lot of different things that I can't get at Walmart, that I can't get at Aldi. I mean, I live in Rochelle. I have access to a lot of stores, but the diversity, yes, you have a gas station, but you don't have this gas station. This gas station will provide your residents with something that I don't think that you have, because I work in Rockford, so I drive by Davis Junction a lot. Your gas station that's presently here is not a gas station that I would feel comfortable bringing my family and sitting down and having a meal, you know, and a lunch with my grandparents and, you know, enjoying myself. So I just want to, I would encourage you, if you have concerns, to just go visit, just because it is different. So it does provide something different. But a few things, there's adequate public facilities. Obviously, there's main road 72, 251 is right there. We did do the traffic studies. There's no additional traffic congestion that is, you know, a concern for IDOT. And we do have, you know, that they have the right to reserve to make any changes as needed. There's no destruction of significant features. It's in compliance with standards. There's no interference with surrounding development. One of the things that I think is interesting when I'm looking at this property in particular, and what you guys have charged with you as and planning and zoning, is that the problem is that the tracks back up to this property deep, right? And so if you're looking at planning and zoning, your goal is going to be to try to maximize your development of the property as a whole. You're going to have some real challenges to developing that property as a whole, because retail is not going to want to come back and be located next to those tracks. So I think that this will be consistent with your plan, which is to develop the property to its highest and best use. And it will keep that property that would otherwise go underdeveloped, right? That property that's closer to the tracks that people don't want to locate to. It's going to provide some development there by putting in those self-storage units. So that's consistent with your plan, which is wanting to avoid that strip development, which is only one deep, and provide the development all the way back through to those tracks. Self-storage, I know that it might not be, you know, something that you think would serve residents, but it's alarming to me how many people utilize self-storage facilities and businesses. And it does keep residents clean, clear, and free of debris. I'm sure that your attorney could acknowledge that it does help reduce nuisance violations. Where there is a self-storage facility, it is shown that it helps keep properties cleaner and reduce nuisance violations within the town itself. So hopefully that will be something that can help your village as well. The gaming, like I said, it is there, but you don't notice it. It's different, and it does provide something different than exactly what you commented on. There is research that shows that some participants for gaming would like to play gaming without being in a bar. So those type of people, those certain people, they might be gamers, but they're not alcoholics, and so they would like to play games without being in a bar setting. And so that does provide a facility for those residents that would like to do that. I think that's all I have. I think I touched on the main, findings that were necessary, and obviously that they were detailed a little bit more in the application itself. So if you have any questions or concerns, feel free, but otherwise, yeah.
I have one quickly, just if you could
Yep.
state your name for the record.
Oh, I'm sorry. Casey Chadwick, and I'm the attorney for Haywell Development.
Ms. Chadwick, just so it's on the record, the village published notice of this hearing. The applicant was responsible
Yes.
to circulate mail notice to neighbors within 250 feet of the property. So can you comment as?
We did provide notice to all the adjoining property owners within the 250 feet as required by the ordinance.
And I did receive a certificate of mailing for the file as well.
Great.
Yep.
Can I ask a question? I know
Oh,
I
yes.
sent Will and Hoffman's concerns
Yep.
over to you. I know that a lot of these don't have to do directly with this particular hearing, but all of them will have to be addressed prior to permitting.
And we actually, we've already gone through that and we've sent them to, we got that letter on Friday, as you know. And so, but we did already send it over to the engineer and they're already working on making changes to it. So there was nothing in there that we were concerned about. All of them will be addressed. So, yeah.
Sounds good.
In terms of guiding this body's deliberations, if it's time that you want to start thinking about what you want to do, your code provides standards, so you're not out of thin air, so you know what you're tasked with here. The special permit criteria is set out in section A11602E of the code, which I have in front of me. You might not have in front of you, but it is, each of the standards are set out in my unhelpfully not page numbered draft of a resolution. So it goes through, just in terms of the way this is organized, it's about 3 pages in. Section 3 addresses first the special use approval that the applicant is seeking for lot 1, which is the video gaming. And if you skip to the page after that, you'll see a series of italicized sort of headings. Those are respectively the different criteria that you guys are tasked with applying to the proposal to determine whether or not you're going to make a favorable recommendation or not. The unique thing about the lot 1 special use, and I know it's because it's part of a larger whole, it's sort of hard to separate out, but because the gas station convenience store are allowed as of right, when you're thinking about those criteria, what you really want to focus on with respect to the video gaming is, does the video gaming in particular have a positive or negative impact as based on, you know, these different criteria? Will the video gaming have a deleterious impact on the neighboring properties as opposed to the, you know, the trucks rolling through, which is something that they're allowed to do because they can have a gas station. The same criteria apply to your the section 4 finding, which is the special permit with respect to the self-storage facility. This follows the same basic format on the next couple of pages after the section 4 heading.
Mark, can I pause you for a moment?
Mhm.
Is that the current one that you have?
It is, but there's nothing I'm saying is any different. The
Okay.
only difference between the version you have is there's one condition on the second to last page that appears on yours that, which I'll tell you about in a second, that doesn't appear on.
They don't have, some of them may not have printed copies in front of them. Would anybody like me to make them one real quick? As I noticed as you're going along, they don't have them because I emailed them to everybody.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Would it be helpful to have a printed copy of the recommendation in front of you? You're good? You already have it? You're good? Do you need one? Okay, everybody. Okay.
Well, here, let me try to help and make it sort of
All right.
general. Every community sort of formulates the criteria in their own sort of unique phrasing or whatever. But essentially what it comes down to for all of these applications is this going to bother neighbors or not? Is it going to be a positive for the community or not? And they go through specific criteria. Traffic, is the lighting going to spill over? You know, things like, I mean, it gets very specific, but essentially what you're tasked with for a special use is to figure out whether or not this is well suited for this particular property. And the way that's typically evaluated is by figuring out if it's going to have a something unique about the use will have an especially negative impact on the neighbors. I mean, that's probably the best broad brush way of thinking about this. Then the third piece, which is the most technical of all, and in some ways I expect you guys to have the least comments or thoughts about it, is the actual subdivision, the 2-lot subdivision breakdown. This is usually a fairly technical review. Your village engineer reviewed it and offered some comments, which Clerk Maz alluded to. That's set out in section 5. Your code doesn't have the same criteria sort of laid out for subdivision. The criteria is essentially, does this conform with our regulations? Do the lots they're proposing, are they the right size and orientation for what you'd expect in a C3 district? And they are. So, I mean, that's generally what we're dealing with here in terms of an overall overview. Since you don't have in front of you, if you'll bear with me for just a moment, in the draft recommendation, which is, this isn't special to this project, it's how I always draft these things. It's drafted in anticipation of you saying yes. It doesn't mean you have to say yes. If you want to say no, this will just be rephrased. But right now it's drafted as though you're going to recommend it. If you are going to recommend it, we propose based on the engineer's comments and our own review for your consideration that certain conditions be attached to the recommendation. And I'll just go through those very quickly. For the tentative plat of subdivision, this would be, again, a recommendation to the village board. The village board makes the ultimate call. Incorporating the engineer's notes, one of the conditions would that they would attach a signature block in the final one that's signed off on by the village. It's pretty easy to do, and I can supply them with the language. And then also, the engineer called out that they don't currently depict a loading area. The size of this property dictates that they would have a single space designated loading area, which isn't currently shown per the engineer's comments. Because the subdivision plat, one of the conditions is that it conforms with your zoning code. That would be something that would ultimately, if you adopt this, would be required to the final version, or at least that their supplementary materials would show that loading zone. As to the video gaming special permit proposed conditions, they would be as follows. That before they actually start turning dirt and developing that lot one that they'd apply for and obtain approval and record the final plat of subdivision that creates lot one, that they would apply for and obtain building permits and their final engineering approvals from the village, that they'd also apply for whatever else was needed for any other jurisdictional body, whether it was IDOT approvals or anything else. That's all kind of standard stuff that's picked up in permitting. Sort of notable other things is before they can turn on any video gaming machines, the village requires that they get video gaming terminal licenses from the village. They would be allowed under state law, and your code echoes this, I believe 6 on the site. There's a $25 per terminal license fee. And then also they would of course need to obtain and maintain their state video gaming license through the state video gaming, gambling, what is GIB?
Gaming board.
Yes, the IGB, yes. And that they, adhere at all times to the state law requirements governing video gaming as well as yours, which are just parrot the state laws. Everything be developed in accordance with the plans proposed. Okay, so that's it for that. With respect to the self-storage, again, the same sort of boilerplate conditions that they obtain final permits and final approvals and record the subdivision plat. The most notable one to call out here is that as drafted, I'm just going to read it to you as I drafted it. This is for the self-storage. Applicant shall obtain a certificate of occupancy authorizing the opening of the gasoline station and convenience store on lot 1 to the public for retail trade on or prior to the date on which the self-storage units are made available for a lease. So whatever the specific order of development, the idea is you would not be able to, if the village board were to adopt these conditions, would not be able to actually start leasing out that space until a certificate of occupancy was issued for the gas station and convenience store. It sounds like it's consistent with your plans. And everything else, just the boilerplate that they develop it in accordance with whatever you approve. So this body's gonna, tonight or a future time, if you need more time, will make a recommendation to the village board, and then the village board will make the final call. Your code requires at least 4 of you, no matter how many of you are here or not here, 4 of you have to be on board with a favorable recommendation for the recommendation to go forward as a favorable recommendation.
Any comments? To what he's just said? I think it's in a perfect place. Lighting's not gonna be a problem. It's not near residential. Since they're not gonna have open liquor, just gaming, that shouldn't be a problem. it shouldn't cause a temper flare. Um,
With the other six liquor bars.
Shouldn't take away too much from the bars. I mean, you
No,
know,
I
other than
agree.
just packaged, you've got packaged liquor, right? Yeah, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else got anything to say?
I guess my concern is, what does this do to the BP? Because I mean, I think she made a good point. I'm not comfortable stopping there. Are we diverting traffic from a business that we have already established to a new business coming in?
No, this is my personal opinion. In my opinion, will be creating a better stop for families and women who feel uncomfortable going into the BP.
You're gonna have competition anywhere. It's just like when Love's goes down there, it's gonna shut that BP down. I don't see shutting that BP down. Sam's got a lot of customers. He's gonna have a lot of customers, like Linda said. Yes, BP's nice over there, but I've been to Benny's. It's a cleaner facility. Nice people. You got more options, like head meetings and stuff like that. That's gonna bring people there.
Usually competition, when I was in the hotel business, we always liked another hotel to build near us. And Tim knows this because I used to be the general manager in Rochelle. Yeah, we liked it when the Holiday Inn built because it brought more competition. It actually brought more business to us.
More traffic for everybody.
More traffic, yep. You know, people started looking for a different brand of hotel and, oh, they seen that one. And then all of a sudden they realized there was 3 or 4 other two other brands in Rochelle that they could also look at. So
He's gonna have more diesel lanes. I mean, you can be sitting there waiting for 20 minutes to fill up at BP. If you got 2 trucks on each side, he's gonna have more diesel lanes.
Mhm.
So when people wanna get going, they don't have to sit there and wait.
I think his plan is better thought out too.
Exactly. You can have.
Because
bigger
let's
trucks
face
there.
it, BP used to be Shook's Corners, which used to have a full-size restaurant there. That's a conversion. So therefore, their pumps aren't laid out very well. And they're not thinking about semis because they didn't do that back then.
You're not gonna have to peek around the corner at the corner, making sure someone's whipping around the corner. He's gonna have parking.
So I think it's actually going to be good for them, and it may bring the quality of BP up a little.
And the ice cream side, you're gonna have,
Yep.
Mommy, let's go get some ice cream. Okay.
Yeah,
mean,
It won't be $8 a package.
I mean, I'd rather have soft serve ice cream and go either a Dollar General or somewhere and go buy something hard. I love a soft serve ice cream. If I have ice cream at my house, I gotta put it in the microwave so it's soft. I mean,
So
so,
I have a question. Do you guys do kerosene or racing fuels?
They need a microphone before they
Oh.
can answer. And
Oh.
can you repeat it into yours?
Do you do kerosene or racing fuels in your pumps? Do you convert them or separate?
We haven't, only because it isn't, okay, so the one thing about when you go down a lane, pick your brand, that can put you in a terminal lane. So our terminal hasn't yet got that. We're told that they're going to, and then our premium will be ethanol free. We are going to be a mobile pilot station for a E88, which is E15. They like they need pilots for their trial. They like the fact that it's ethanol ag friendly.
Yeah, let's talk about regular heating kerosene.
But we don't
Well,
do
see,
that.
Well, one thing the BP does sell is they switch off. In the winter, they go to kerosene, and in the summer for the track out here, they go to
The dragway.
the dragway. They go to racing
Fire and
fuel. And I don't know, it's something about.
Yeah, so the only way we can do that with our tank configuration is to sell a non-ethanol premium because of a split tank thing. We do sell biodiesel, and then in the winter go to more of a straight diesel. The one thing I thought of, the case, maybe this is small, but it does matter to us, is we're also a gas station that doesn't have outside signage in terms of Newports for $4.99 or whatever it is. We have no window signage. We have no pole signage. It's a very clean commercial, almost strip center look.
That's all I had.
Was not a member of this board, but I'm a firm believer that competition is good for the public. When you're talking about the competition, I'd spoken with the previous owner of FNS, and he actually, when we were talking about bringing a Casey's into town, had actually welcomed having competition because it was only going to make him step up his game,
Yep.
which any good business owner would do.
It's very healthy for a community.
So too, more options.
Well, the other thing that Jared kind of touched on too that we have learned is that, you think of being on a hard corner, but sometimes being on a corner is actually a deterrent to people, where being just off the corner has a safer feel to it. And that's one thing we like about this site. No different than in Rochelle. We have one access point, but it's, a long ways off the intersection. So there's a nice, safe flow to it.
You're not going to get rear-ended. Anything else, folks?
We did used to have ice cream in town. And
Stuck
it didn't sell. So we didn't have ice cream in town anymore. Is there any concern from anyone with that we did have an ice cream shop?
I think there's more to it than just ice cream.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not even considering ice cream. I mean, I think being in the Benny's down in Rochelle there, and I'm not bashing RBP on the corner or whatever, but I will absolutely step foot in that one before that one. So that's
You
my
have a
opinion.
drive-through like you do in Rochelle too?
Yeah.
At Father and Sons,
Right, yeah.
they had that ice cream shop where the.
Yeah.
That's always
they talked
nice.
about
It used to be Pizza Brothers.
Mhm.
I mean, I like the idea of the storage sheds, because you're gonna have that fenced in. These over here don't get fenced in. I've had one, got my stuff stolen out of that. So I'd like to see more secure storage sheds than just this one over here.
Well, in COVID so storage units are a winner in COVID, everyone can't go buy a boat, four-wheeler and all that stuff and not put it somewhere. We have a 132 unit facility in Sycamore. It had been slow getting going. And we rented 65 units since January 1st. And just this weekend, we had, so we have about 600 of them total. And we had 17 calls over the weekend, and like half of them were just from the Sycamore market. I mean, whether it's the world moving and just lots of factors. And, I always joke that every 3-car garage is really 2 cars, and then the stuff that goes with a family,
The two
And-
cars are sitting in the driveway.
Yeah.
If you're lucky.
So,
Yeah,
That's how
you
it
get
is.
two.
And
Yeah.
I've got all my toys, my winter toys, my summer toys, and it's just like, man, I don't want to build another shed. I'd just rather put it in a storage shed.
yeah. So I think there's a certain, and there's a lot, I think that there's, there's as many 2-car garages in Davis Junction as there are 3 cars. So that's even more of a factor. So.
Okay, I need somebody to do a proposal or recommend or not recommend the resolution.
I'm gonna pause you.
Okay.
Always do a motion to
Positive.
in the positive. So
positive, yeah.
if you can make a motion to approve the resolution and still vote no during the voting section, but all motions should always be in the positive.
Make a motion to approve this resolution.
How about,
A second.
hold on.
Oh, you
No,
have
what?
to, you have to read the number.
Everything starting at
Oh.
this.
Get the
Here.
lawyer stuff now. So we're used to doing this.
There you go.
I make a motion to make a approval on the PZC resolution number 21-R-01, a resolution adopting findings and facts and recommendations approval on the tenants plat of the subdivision and special permit conditionally authorizing lessons or minimized warehouse and self-storage units, lot 2, assessments, gambling, and recreation industries as a accessory use to gasoline station and general merchandise store lot 1 in the C-3 zoning district.
Need a second?
I second it.
A roll call, please.
David,
Yes.
Jared,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Nancy is absent, Mark,
Yes.
Jen.
No.
Glenda, yes.
You don't get to.
I did it.
No?
Okay.
She typically doesn't. She voted either way. Oh, I guess, hold on. Mark's right on that one. You do have to vote because you're considered part of my 7, whereas Rick is not.
Right. Yes. Motion passes. One thing I did forget to do is that some of you don't know each other. So when we did roll call, I didn't have you raise your hand so people would figure out who you were. So if you would kind of just go around and just give your name. Because we have 2 new members.
Jared Dillon.
David May.
Brett Fergie.
Mark Dipner.
Jen Moss.
I'm Mark Heinley, the lawyer.
Glenda Bloomingdale.
And I hope you all know me.
No, we don't.
I swore all of you in.
Do we have any old business,
You gotta
folks?
state your name, Sandy.
Sandy Moss.
Thank you. And same time on the 28th?
Give me a minute here. Can you hold out for after this to close and we'll talk with Mark Heinley about his schedule?
Sure.
Any old business? Need a motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
Second?
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.
8:06 PM.